Welcome back to HSC AMA. I'm your host, Julia Nimchinsky, and today we couldn't be more excited to present an AMA session with one and only Ruben Hassid. Welcome to the
Hi,
show, Ruben.
what's up? Super excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Julia. And yeah, I've heard a lot about your community, so um, I'd love to be in contact with them.
Yeah, for sure. You're one of the most viewed coaches on the platform. And
Really?
yep. Yeah, we have a lot of people attending this event. Lots of people submitted questions. As I told you, behind the scenes, like more than 50 already, and they keep coming. So
Okay.
exciting.
We have work, we
Y-
have work to do.
For those of you joining, and I'll give you a second to introduce yourself and share more about your story. But for those of you joining, what's really special about Ruben is, I mean, the virality is really crazy. If Ruben just went to 1 million views on Spotify, um, one SoundCloud,
Yeah, exactly.
1
SoundCloud.
million views on YouTube, and now 78 million views on LinkedIn.
So yeah, the way it started. So I started social media when I was 17 with a music label. I was 17. I managed my own music label. At first, it was very messy, trust me. But I got that 1 million views on SoundCloud, then a million views on YouTube. It was the beginning for me for digital marketing and social media. And what's interesting is that for 6 years I did it for the wrong industry. Then I switched industry. I moved from Seoul to Berlin. And in Berlin, I did it in the fintech industry. I had quite some success, but I was still doing it for other people. And I think this is the key part. I was doing it for other people. And and late 2022, I was obsessed with Midjourney V2. I was then obsessed with Jasper, but I was frustrated by it. And then I just helped a friend, Ali, in Berlin to write his thesis. And I just heard on the 30th of November, I still remember that day, when ChatGPT beta was out, was the day it was out. And I just tried what I was trying on Jasper, but on ChatGPT, helped my friend, and we succeeded. And then I was like, hey, let's write about it. I had like a small LinkedIn, and I just shared on it. And that one post got 1.5 million views. And from that 1.5 million views, I then just kept sharing. And from 1 million got then 10, then 50. Now I'm closer to 100 million on LinkedIn. I got ranked the second biggest content creator on the platform. In April, I gave lectures in the US, in Denmark, in Tel Aviv, where I moved and where we met. I did brand deals with AI companies. And today I'm not just on LinkedIn, but also a little bit on Twitter. I have a newsletter. I have a YouTube channel. But truly, my mission is to be the bridge between people and AI. I want to really, when I say people, I mean you and I, the normal people, not the tech savvy, not the data scientists, not the NLP architect. I really mean people. And by AI, I don't mean the autonomous driving from Tesla. I mean the generative AI that you and I can use. Everyone knows ChatGPT, but you have a few more.
I'm just super curious. I made a mistake in the beginning, and on that note, like Spotify, SoundCloud,
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Twitter, how do you choose the platform? And do you
Mhm.
choose the platform at all, or the platform really chooses you?
Very interesting question. So choosing a platform is so important. First, I'm going to say something that is very outside of what people usually tell you. What the current narrative on social media is, um, find good content and repurpose it on every platform, and it should work, right? You post it on LinkedIn and you post the same on Twitter, and you post roughly the same, maybe a video on Instagram, you do it on YouTube, and then it's going to work. It doesn't. It's a nightmare. Running more than one social media at high level is nearly impossible by yourself. I've seen very few people doing it. You always have a team. Now the question is, okay, so I'm going to focus on one platform, and I'm going to have like one nail and one massive hammer, and I'm going to hammer it down as hard as I can. What should be my platform? I selected LinkedIn for many reasons. It's non-anonymous. It's a non-anonymous platform. Julia, even if I don't know you a few weeks from now, a few months from now, I could still go to your profile. I have so much information about you, about your colleagues, about who you are, why you are, what you're doing. So this is why I like LinkedIn, and the quality of LinkedIn. It's pretty high quality. People don't there are no trolls because they have their jobs, so they want to keep it. So I see some potential on LinkedIn on that matter. Now, some other people, depends on the industry. Some like for example, if you're an AI pioneer or crypto pioneer, or someone who wants to be on the latest news, you should probably go on Twitter. Um, Now, if you're an artist, or if you're someone who's savvy in video, which is a hard skill, trust me, then you should consider sharing on Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts the same content. Here you can do it because it's the same kind of content. And then the long format YouTube is also a different breed, but it's hard to build a business as not as a content creator, but as someone who's built something and then also goes big on a platform. I would still advise someone to go for LinkedIn or Twitter, depending on the industry and also on the audience, where they are, what they want to do.
When you write, I'm curious to learn more about your process. Do you have like this marketish ideal customer profile? Do you even think about that? Do you write for
Oh yeah,
everybody, or do you
I'm
write
obsessed with it. That should be your first session. If I'm someone who's making pizza at 3 a.m. outside of clubs, I should know my persona, and I should tailor my pizza and my marketing for that. I think content creation is exactly the same, and people are always forgetting it. When I'm creating content, I keep writing for one person. It's a known trick, but I keep writing for one person. And what's interesting is that now that I write on another platform, also every day, Twitter, that person is actually different. So this is why if you read my content on LinkedIn and you read it on Twitter, I'm actually tackling different people. On LinkedIn, I'm tackling truly like the everyday guy, that sometimes I have to teach them again what's a prompt and literally where to click. Uh, I'm doing how-to guides every day, frameworks about AI. I'm literally telling them, okay, you go on the top right and you see you have 3 dots and you click on the 3 dots, and this is what's going to happen. But this is what people expect me to do because they don't have time to test. They already have a pretty intense job. So I want to walk them as close as possible, step by step. On Twitter, I can throw around LLMs, chain of thoughts, tree of thoughts, and people are like, oh yeah, uh, they know what I'm talking about because you have more AI savvy people, and this is something I've been building for the past 2 months after 1 year and a half of content. So uh, I would always advise someone, okay, find your one persona first, create content on one platform, and if at some point you nailed it, and I'm talking about like millions of views, maybe you can think about going elsewhere with a team.
It's really interesting. I'll transition to the questions from the audience, but the last one. When you
Yeah,
think about the persona, so normally marketers, they pretty much generalize it. So it's going to be like, hey, I'm speaking to a marketer from a company of this size
yeah,
who click this button and I don't know, downloaded the PDF. How do you define it? Because you basically, what I'm gathering, it's more about the depth of their knowledge within your expertise, AI,
yeah,
and you just spoke to this like on Twitter, they're pretty much like they are professionals, and on
yeah,
LinkedIn, they're just getting started.
yeah. So it actually takes time to figure out your persona. What's good with social media, and this is why I love it so much, I take content in social media just like I would take like a product of a startup. Um, you need to have feedback as fast as possible, and you need to pivot with it. Uh, I'm pretty sure I love social media and content creation because the feedback loop is as fast as it can get. I don't think you can make it faster than this. Uh, um, what I mean is that every time I'm posting, it's kind of like I'm sharing a Google form. Did you like it or not? Because you can see engagement, likes, DMs that I receive, link clicks, impressions. And impression is actually my number one metric. How many eyeballs can I get on a content, and how consistent can I be with that impressions? Why am I sharing all of this? Because you won't wake up one day being like, this is my persona, awesome, I just have to create that kind of content. Just like you don't wake up with the perfect product with a startup, you need some feedback, you need to read between the lines. When I shared my first PDF which is awful when I read it back. But at that time, no one was talking about ChatGPT. So I made that PDF on LinkedIn. I had no persona in my head. It was just, I had all of that raw data that I needed to get out. Turns out that I had a lot of views, 1.5. Okay. But even if I had, let's say, 20 comments, you can tell who are those 20 comments. You can talk to them as well. And you should, just like a startup with a product, you should talk to them, ask them. And the thing is, a lot of people ask me question, could you help me with this, with this, with that? It was pretty basic prompting. And they said they loved my step-by-step guide. So this is like cues. This is feedback that you're like, okay, I'm doing something good, doing something right. On Twitter, I had the same feedback, which was I was posting the same stuff as on LinkedIn. People were not resonating with it. They were just not. Because on LinkedIn, I had to get people excited about AI because they were not, and then make it sound simple. On Twitter, if I try to make them excited about AI, they think I'm like shady, I'm like clickbait. And then they're like, oh, again, another guy who's like, we get it. We're already in it. You don't have to warm us up. Actually, it's counterproductive. So as soon as I started changing on Twitter, being very direct, meaning, oh, I ran this test of Claude versus ChatGPT, and here are my results, my views just skyrocketed.
Amazing. Ruben, last question, I promise. Back to the Google event.
Yes.
A couple of weeks ago. I'm curious, like you've mentioned, but the number one problem of founders in generally, especially in B2B, I guess,
Yes.
is we have a lot of people who are watching CROs, different sellers from, mainly B2B industry. And people tend to take themselves too seriously. And it's hard for them to, to be that kind of work in progress. They take their products too seriously. They tend to not forget.
Yes. And then they call me and they're like, Ruben, can you talk about our product, please? Yes. Yes. I often say it because everyone asks me, what's your number one advice on content? And I've been saying it for years and I keep saying it, kill your ego. Actually, I had this very interesting discussion with one of my employees because he's been working with me for 3 months. And he told me, Ruben, I'm surprised because I thought personal branding and content creation was all about yourself and sharing about you and sharing your story. And you need to push where are you from and what was your story when you were a kid. Actually, you don't. I think most of the successful content creators I've seen around me, yes, they do sprinkle here and there their personal story, but this is not why people follow them. We don't really care about this. I know it comes very, again, it's an argument. People are like, wait, but I thought it was all about your personal story. If you look at my contents, 99% of it, it's just purely educational, and I'm outside of it. I'm going to even take another example. My alter ego, and here I'm sending myself some flowers saying this. My alter ego on Twitter is Rowan Chong. This guy, who's a close friend now, is 23 years old. He's about to be 24 on the 6th of March. 23 years old. Last year, he reached more than 1 billion people online on Twitter. You read all of his posts on Twitter of last year. Read all of them. Not one is about Rowan. Not even one. Does it mean that we should ditch personal brand? No. If it was not Rowan, but if it was a business page or whatever logo, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been a disaster. It's because if it's Rowan, it's a person that it works, but it's not because it's about Rowan. We don't care about Rowan. Rowan is just always this guy that keeps sharing good content about AI news. He's always the fastest guy on AI news. And that's it. That's the idea behind Rowan. Now I don't need to know what he's eating for breakfast or how he likes to hike on the weekend in Canada. I just don't care. I care about what he's sharing. So maybe that's the threshold that a lot of founders have. They're like, I don't want to share about my life and about me, and I'm so not like this. I'm not either. I'm doing it sometimes, maybe on my birthday, for example, on my newsletter because it's like a smaller community. So sometimes I like to just tell them what happened last week. Like I went at Google's event, it was fun, and why not? But my content is just purely educational, focus on my work. Just like imagine if you and I, Julia, we had a discussion about hard skill exchange. You would probably not talk about hiking. You'll be like, oh yeah, this is what we're trying to do. And this is the obstacles and challenges we went through. This is how I solved them. Awesome. This is content. Your day-to-day discussion, business discussion are contents. And that's all we've been asking you. We don't need more than this. Trust me.
Awesome. Let's transition to the question from the audience.
Yeah.
What are the real practical applications of AI for sales and marketing?
Okay, so if you say sales and marketing, already marketing is so large. It's almost like I ask you, what are the real application of internet for marketing? It's you see, it's like wait.
Where do I start?
Yeah, where do I start? What do you mean exactly? I can start in a gazillion way, but I'm gonna guess. If it's AI, we're talking about generative AI, and if it's marketing, it's probably gonna be content or brainstorming or that kind of stuff. I'm gonna give like specific use cases because I like to give specific answers, but you have a lot of different potential answers. One of them is from a tool that is from Israel, Allison. In paid ads team, so marketing, they need to run a lot of variation. I was working for Trade Republic, and the paid ads team, all they were doing was to create as much design, copies, videos, sometimes images, and to test them on Facebook ads, Snapchat ads. They were throwing so much money on it. TikTok, all that stuff, and you keep testing them, and one of them is a winner, and then you pour all your money on the winner, right? All these kind of variation can be done with AI. But by variation, I mean thousands of them. And you can also put automation on top of it, which is not AI. And this is to make sure that the best one gets the most money. This is what Allison is doing. It's doing it for eToro, for Quicksilver, so for pretty big companies. And they're testing at a level that is so high and so big that it's hardly, you can hardly match it at human level. For sales, you can make it even simpler. Again, sales, you have tons of it. Is it the negotiating part? And then you have Substrata from Ori that is helping you. It's a tool that helps you negotiate high stake clients in your email and tells you who has the upper hand and who has not. You can trust me. I'm using it almost every day when I'm negotiating high ticket clients. Or you have sometimes I've done a training for a sales agency from Jason Class in the US. And he said, Ruben, none of my sales member are filling their CRM, their Salesforce. They have a lot of columns they have to fill. You have tons of companies, and the best one on top of my head, you have Attention Tech, Sibyl, Too Long Didn't View, that are connected to your calls and pulling out the data and filling your CRM, your Salesforce for you, and also making the follow-up emails if it's needed. You have tons of ways, but maybe you mean helping sales to create content to attract inbounds. And then I'm building my own SaaS, EasyGen, to do that. You have tons of AI companies that helps you brainstorm. You could even use ChatGPT for that, or Gemini. So it's again, it's a question that is probably too broad and probably too long to answer.
Definitely. Speaking of Twitter, X, whatever the case, we've had a lot of questions from the audience, and I wanted to double down on what do you think about this concept of entrepreneurship of the future, when basically you are the entrepreneur, the CEO, whatever, and then you have a ton of AI assistants.
Yeah.
and no employees or 1 to 2 employees. What do
So,
you think about it? Will it
oh yeah,
happen?
that's a topic that I love. First thing, do you know a graph that shows you how much employees do you need to make $1 million? So there is a graph. It's out there for like 100 years. And it's interesting to see how over years, the amount of employees you need to make $1 million is getting drastically low, drastically low. And it's taking the top S&P 500 companies for that. It's pretty insane how much we can do with so little people. And second of all, even though I'm not a big fan of him, I'd like to make it clear, Sam Altman and I share this common vision on entrepreneurship that in the near future, some solopreneurs are going to become unicorn for sure. So multimillionaire, it's already the case. And I know some of them. They are operating at a 97% margin with maybe one team member or at maximum two. This is also what I'm trying to do. I don't want to manage that many people. I want to have as lean as possible of a startup, of a company, and automate, use AI as much as I can. And I think that's going to be more and more the case. For example, video editing used to be crazy hard. You needed to hire someone and you couldn't do much. Now with some tools like Opus Clip, you can record a live stream. It doesn't take so long to record a live stream. You have tons of tools as well. And then with Opus Clip, it takes your live stream and it creates short clips like TikToks. So the thresholds for contents, the threshold for creating tools with no code, the thresholds for automation and the threshold for creativity with AI is getting smaller by the day. So I do think that the future is about super lean companies or even solopreneur. That takes a lot.
Next question. What is the best way to communicate value using social channels like LinkedIn?
What if what?
What is the best way to communicate value using social channels like LinkedIn?
Okay, so I'm going to try to rephrase the question, if I may. What is the best way to share content on LinkedIn?
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Here I'm going to use an analogy. If you want to be the fastest guy in the world, you should see what's the daily routine of Usain Bolt. What is he eating? How much is he training? What is he training? Why am I saying this? So much people start LinkedIn this way. They know they have to do LinkedIn. They go on LinkedIn and then they have ideas of what's a good LinkedIn, but they don't really check. Just like I have ideas of what Usain Bolt's routine is. But do I actually know? I have absolutely no idea. Maybe he's spending most of his time in the gym doing squats. I don't know, because maybe that's the way to become the fastest guy in the world. What I'm saying here is instead of starting directly with the training, so writing a post on LinkedIn, maybe take a week, take 10 days, take a month, and read your favorite content creator. See what they're doing. How much are they posting? How often are they posting? What is the content? Is it an image? Is it a video? What is the caption? How are they writing the caption? Stephen King says, if you want to be a great writer, you have to be first a very good copy artist. So he said, when I started writing when I was 12, I was writing like X because I was reading X. And then when I was 15, I was writing like this guy because I was reading him. And then along the line, the more you experience it, the more you write, the more you fail, just like a startup, the better you become as a content creator. But the first step should always be check what's going on. Otherwise, you're not going to figure it out. Turns out no one figures out just like this. Without data and without checking what's going on, it's nearly impossible. So reverse engineer what's working. And there's a high chance you're at least on the right path.
Awesome, Ruben. We kind of discussed it behind the scenes long ago, but I'm curious, like on the note of checking what's going on. Some people, they tend to, most of them, they do check what's going on, and then they simply kind of duplicate it And we know like leaders that both you and I guess, respect. They're amazing. They're crushing it in
Mm-hmm.
content creation, doing courses, everything. But then you go to LinkedIn and you're seeing the same template,
Mm.
screenshot of a tweet
Oh
and
yeah,
three phrases. And
the
it's just
super
like,
screenshot
oh God,
with agree with a question mark.
yeah, and
Yes.
thousands of likes. And I'm like, okay.
So um, first, if it's working on a platform, it's gonna keep working, at least as of now. I'm also frustrated to see some content creator that literally, they have like a panel and they write like managers should be nice to their workers, and then the caption is like agree, and then 10,000 likes, and I'm working my ass off on trying to make a good content. I'm like, what, really? But you have to understand this is the game as well. But it's also your branding, by the way. So you have to be careful, because this is how you're going to be seen. And if you want to be seen as an expert, you probably don't need 10,000 followers or 10,000, likes per post. This is something also I wanted to share. When I'm sharing advice on LinkedIn, people think I'm giving them advice to become me. This is not the point. This is my job. This is my everyday job. My everyday job is to be a content creator. I wake up in the morning, I create content. I have meetings with my teams. It's about content. We scrape content, read content, check our data about content all the time. We can spend 30 minutes just on the first two lines of a tweet, just like a journalist. Do I think people should either do this or do nothing? No, I think there is a good middle ground. And I've seen some of my friends who are looking for a job in Tel Aviv, because it's quite tough with the tech industry right now. And I gave them some advice, and they started making some posts, and they said, Ruben, it's getting nowhere. Only have 2 or 3 comments. And I'm like, what do you expect? What, you want 500 comments per post? Maybe not. Maybe this is not the goal. And throughout the weeks, they received DMs of people saying, hey, I like what you're doing. Maybe you should come around, maybe do an interview. And I think it's the same with founders. They should have realistic expectation of what's going to happen. They're running a business, so it's fine if they don't become internet celebrity. And truth be told, it's not that awesome. It's a job. It's another job. But maybe if you're dealing with a small high ticket clients, then being a content creator is going to bring you some as an inbound. Maybe you're looking for high profiles to hire. Maybe you want to become someone that understands content creation in B2C, so that when you hire someone in influence marketing, you can talk to them pretty differently. And I can tell you, yes, you can tell when a founder is actually creating content, you have a different kind of discussion with them. So set realistic expectation. It's fine. Remember that the guys that have 300,000 followers or more, this is not just their day-to-day job, it's also their team's day-to-day job. This is a whole company as a whole. So I think there is a matter. And the middle ground, what is it? Maybe posting once a week, twice a week, high quality content. That's one. And also, posting is not what's going to bring everything. I always say posting is a third of the whole game. Imagine you're selling fruits in the market, okay? And you just go there, you sell the fruit, and then you get the fuck out. It's not going to work. You need to network with people. You need to recognize customers. You also probably need to go to other people selling cheese and selling meat. You need to know everyone. So if you're not spending any time on the platform, then you should probably not share anything there, because you don't know the codes and you don't really want to talk to people. You don't want to interact with people. So why would you expect engagement if you do no engagement? You never talk to anyone whatsoever. So yeah, content is a third, and 2/3 is commenting, DM, and the rest.
Awesome. Next question. If I wanted to teach myself AI, how would I learn?
So a lot of people ask me, how do you know about AI? What school did you go? Google, YouTube, Reddit, Discord, tons of things. Now you are lucky, because now you have a lot more resources from content creator. You still have You still have a whole lot on YouTube, a whole lot on Twitter. The one thing I have to say with AI is that some basics can be taught today and for the next 2 years, but some other things, because the industry moves so fast, it's crazy. It moves so fast that maybe what you're going to learn today is not going to be relevant in 6 months, but it's going to change a lot. It's going to move a lot. So for example, I was selling 2 master classes last April on ChatGPT and Midjourney. Midjourney is the image generator. And I sold like $150,000 of it. But today, if I look back at it, which is not that long ago, it was not even a year ago, it's just not. It's old. It's an old ChatGPT. It's a very old Midjourney. It was Midjourney V4. Now it's Midjourney V6, and you probably have like 12 new features on top of it that are key for the platform. So actually, the best way and freest way, if you have time, is to consume content from top content creator in your niche. So if you're into images, you should probably follow Nick St. Pierre on Twitter. He shares stuff on Midjourney. If you like LLMs and AI frameworks, this is what I do on a day-to-day. So if you have time, you can consume content the whole day. And if you can afford it, I guess consulting is truly the way. And this is how I got excited about Hard Skill Exchange. It's because this is today's data. And you can hardly compete with it.
Ruben, I want to be respectful of your time. We're at the top of the hour, and let's just address like probably the most futuristic question. A lot of people are asking, like, where do you see go-to-market going? What's next? With all of the AI trends and
I
your
love that
predictions.
Question. I love it. It's I don't know why people really want to give me a crystal ball, Julia. They want to give me the crystal ball and say, read, please read it. I don't have one. I also have a lot. I remember, I think it's the moment I love the most. At one lecture, I was in Paris for the B2B summit. I give my lecture. I make it clear that I'm showing like the growth of AI. That was the whole point of this lecture. How Midjourney V1 to V6, it's not even the same century in terms of output. Same goes with the context window of ChatGPT 3 versus 4 versus Gemini. And it's a span of 2 years, okay? And I make it clear. And the first question of after my conference, the first question I receive is, so what's the state of B2B for the next 5 years with AI? I said, the next 5 years? It was June of last year. I said, the next 5 years. So ChatGPT is live since about 8 months, 6 months, 7 months. It's shaking industries as a whole. And I should give you a proper vision of what's going to happen in the next 5 years. I think I would be borderline, not just lying, but like a total charlatan. It's like, what are you expecting me to do? What I can tell you is, yes, those API are pretty powerful. So I'll always keep an eye on it. I've been testing Gemini 1.5 as a beta user before the public. It's pretty interesting. You've seen what Sora has done with OpenAI, generating videos. Now, do I know which tools are going to be obsolete in the next 6 months? Hard to tell. Would I build a meeting summary tool today using AI? Probably not, because I'm guessing Google Calendar and Zoom are already doing it, and I don't know what they're waiting for, but they're doing it, Would I build a whole LLM? Maybe I don't have enough money for that. Maybe it's going to ask for a lot of GPUs, a lot of infrastructure for it. But for the rest, it's game on. Who knows what's going to be the future? But I would say don't build AI first. I've seen a lot of companies building a lot of chatbots because they can do it, or a lot of features because they can do it, but they don't really test their own tool. They build it because they can do it, not because it solves problems. And because there is a trend and a buzz, people are like, oh, awesome, you're building a chatbot that do this, or brainstorm some ideas. And we call it GPT wrappers. So it's just it's wrapped around the API of GPT, but it's not really providing anything. So as always, focus on solving problem first, not AI first. And if AI comes in play, awesome. But if it doesn't, who cares? It's still about solving people's problems.
GPT rappers. I love it. I'm gonna steal
GPT
it.
rappers.
GTM rappers.
Yeah, pretty much.
Summarizes on LinkedIn. Ruben, true pleasure. Amazing response from the community. We haven't addressed even 1/3 of the questions.
Oh,
Should do
whoops.
this one more time whenever, I don't know, like next quarter, whenever
Yeah,
you,
sure. When it's going to be completely different and people are going to ask me for the next quarter, what's going to happen?
yeah.
You're like, dude, I don't know. I wish I knew. I wish I knew.
Where should people go? What's the best channel to interact with you? Is it LinkedIn, Twitter?
LinkedIn number one. People think that I don't manage my DMs. I have someone who helps me because I receive crazy amount of DMs on LinkedIn, but I read them all. I never miss one. So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I also use Twitter quite a lot. I have a YouTube channel, but I'm posting there less often. And I have a newsletter. I'll send you the link if you need to send it to the community.
Awesome. And everybody follow RubenHassid, obviously, LinkedIn, Twitter, every channel. I'm part of your community and part of your website. Amazing content. And book a session one-on-one. HSC. I'm gonna follow up with a link. And yeah, true pleasure, Ruben, once again. And see you soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.